you're saying you trust your observation and your experience. Is that what you're telling me?
To a large extent, yes.
So you're saying, from what all the things that you've observed, have you ever observed information like a book like this happening by chance? So what would you then say if I haven't observed? It is still possible, or would you say?
Open-minded.
I think so.
So the universe that you think is so big is actually maybe not that big.
So is there no universe?
Observed in detail a very minute.
Why do you say the universe is so big when your observation could be that actually it's not? It could be the opposite.
Saying there's no universe?
Isn't it?
Yeah. You're saying there's no universe.
I'm saying, according to you, there is no universe.
To the moon.
Yeah.
So why should we listen
I'm
to you?
saying you don't exist.
What if?
Okay, fair enough.
What if?
Am I right? Am I right or am I wrong?
Who cares? You haven't been to the moon, so I don't need to
No.
listen to you. Nobody
Lloyd and Philippa, you both don't exist. You both don't exist.
My experience tells me otherwise, and it's been consistent.
So your experience can really tell you something which you take for fact.
Contradiction.
Is that right?
That's a contradiction, right?
Right. So Philippa, you're different from my friend Lloyd here.
That's a contradiction.
You are going to take something for fact.
But you just,
right?
You're condescending his experience, but we're listening
Is that what
to
you're
your
saying?
experience, and you're saying
if your experience tells you that you think, and you said, therefore I am, therefore I exist, and it's a fact for you. Is that what you think?
I don't know if I agree with that statement, but if my experience...
Do you exist?
I feel like I exist, but
are you sure?
Know.
Are you sure?
No.
Are you sure?
So you're not sure you're existing?
Correct.
Do you exist? Are you sure you exist?
And all existence.
Don't get offended because you don't exist, you're not sure. So let me carry on speaking to you.
Exist?
So because it's possible, it's possible he doesn't exist.
Do you exist?
So if I just ignore him, he shouldn't feel offended because anyone that doesn't exist should not be offended. So
do you exist?
No.
No.
So why are you speaking to
Argument
me?
over.
So because I don't exist to him, because I don't exist, he shouldn't feel offended too. There's a probability in your understanding that I don't exist.
Not realized.
So now,
messed up his debate.
so here again, Lloyd and Philippa, of course, don't exist in reality because they weren't sure, and now I've made it certain. Now I've made it certain that they don't exist.
But do you
They are
exist?
certain that they don't exist.
Be careful.
Yeah.
Who said that anyway?
I said I think they exist.
No, you don't exist.
Do you exist?
Absolutely.
Do you exist?
I don't.
He said,
According to you, I don't.
He said,
So now, here are the
He said,
summary of this discussion.
do you exist?
When it comes to
You
reality,
won't answer. I've noticed that's
when
your
it comes
debate
to
strategy.
when
You
it
don't
comes
answer
to
questions.
when
You
it
only
comes,
ask questions.
I don't exist, my friend. What are you talking to
Very
me?
clever.
When it
Very
comes
clever.
to reality, about God and God's existence, about being good, being moral, about believing in heaven and hell, this is the super hyper radical stance people take because they don't want to subscribe to an organized religion, they don't want to worship God and so on. But at the same time, look at what he's wearing. Nice clothes, expensive
You're wearing
clothes.
nice clothes too?
Expensive. He perhaps,
That's nice.
when he goes for looking for a woman or girlfriend or wife, he's not going to go for the most not so beautiful. He'll try to go to which is in accordance to his likes and desires, isn't it? He will then be real. He would not say, you know what, it doesn't matter because you don't exist either, right? So when it comes to this mundane life, when he's about to eat, for example, when Philippa and Lloyd's going to go to a restaurant and going to eat, they might say, oh, this is a snail and a turtle and actually it's not.
It sounds like you're talking about yourself because
why is it
you say this.
So he would not mind because to them it doesn't matter what you eat.
This for your video
because
cut off the bit that we said.
No, I'm not going to cut off anything. No one's going to cut off. These are all channels. Don't cut off. Put it for entertainment for people to see what happens to people who leave the reality bubble and going to live in another bubble. So when he's going to go to a workplace or a university for studying, you know what? He's not going to go to thinking, you know what? My teacher don't exist. So why am I going to even bother listening to him? I'll sit there in an auditorium and a lecture which doesn't even exist. Why am I going to write an exam which is not even an exam, it doesn't exist? So, but he knows if he doesn't do that, he's going to fail the exam. He knows if he doesn't go at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock to his work, he's not going to get paid. He will work like a slave in that machinery thinking he exists, but when it comes to...
That's never been left this planet.
Why is he feeling offended? He doesn't exist.
He's never been nowhere. I don't even think he's left South London.
So
But
because
so how would you know? How can you confirm?
How
things
can I
as
speak
if
to
it's
someone
the
who doesn't
universal
exist?
Truth? Like,
So-
so you're basically saying humans are the only one in this universe. Everything we say is correct.
Do you know
Everything
something?
you're saying is our logic. And
I
everything
know
else is
he doesn't
crap.
exist, but I'm
Nah,
getting this
come on.
vibe. There's some
No, man.
aliens
Unsubscribe.
speaking to me from thin air. So because they don't exist, that's the treatment that we give. We don't talk to people who are non-existent, right? And they
But you spoke to me just now, so that means you're going mad.
non-exist. No,
Because you was, so people are looking at you going, like, so you must be going nuts.
so he exists now.
But you spoke to me.
I'm speaking to the ladies there.
Oh, do they exist?
Do you think he's certain he exists now? Because
Wait, yeah, do we exist?
Do they
Yeah.
Do you
exist?
think we exist?
of course I do.
Why do you think we exist?
Yeah, why?
Yeah. Because our reality bubble is such that
Reality.
our experience and observations, we trust in them.
Our experience,
So when we
observations.
have our senses that we have, our eyes, our ears, our sense perception, our feeling of touch and smell, these are the things that we use in our everyday
Limitation.
experience to understand the existence of things. For example, we can infer existence even of things that we don't see. For example, I haven't seen his brains, but I know he has a brain. Because I know to think, to talk, to argue, to discuss, to debate, you need this machine called the brain, which is the thing that does all that processing power. I know that you exist because I can see you. Yeah?
Based on your senses.
I
Human
know that gravity exists even though I don't know what it looks like. I cannot smell it, I cannot touch it, I cannot feel it, but I know it exists because it has a strong attractive force on anything and bring it down on the center of this earth, on a bigger object. I know it exists by inference. So we operate our lives by, in our learning, to acquire knowledge by these various types. There is inductive logic, there is deductive logic. Tomorrow the sun's going to come up again. We have that faith because of the observation that we make every day. It's possible, according to people like our friends, that the sun would not rise again. It's possible. But we don't go with this belief system. We know according to all this. For example, imagine the three of your friends, right? You went into the room and you heard knock, knock, knock on your door. On the outside the door, it was only the two of them. Now, you're not going to assume it's Philippa and Lloyd's knocking on the door because you've just left your two friends outside the door. You would say, it's only you two. You can infer that it's them. So when she comes in, you don't have to be a PhD holder to think who's left. Is it Philippa or is it your friend there? You can automatically say, you are the only one remaining. So we can make all of this kind of our reality, observation, deductions, inferences. That's what we do maths. Why do we always say when our employer gives us money at the end of the day, £35 an hour, and you've worked 7.5 hours a day for 1 month, and you work out the numbers? Why do you trust those numbers? Why do you trust those numbers? So if he pays you now £1 and 2 pence instead of £4,000, you'll be happy with that because the numbers don't make any real sense, right? You'll be happy with the wages that you get. The contract was for £4,000 salary a month, for example, and they paid you £1 and 2 pence. And they say, look, the numbers, sometimes they change their meanings. 1 doesn't mean 1, 2 doesn't mean 2, 1 plus 1 doesn't mean 2. And you'd be saying, I'm happy, £1, 2 pence, it's okay, that's my salary. Would you? Would you? Why would you trust the numbers and the maths? Why would you say, look, 35 hours or whatever, times by this, why would you trust those numbers? Because you know the numbers, the assigned value that we've given is what we operate our life by. If we assign this is a man and this is a woman, then we have to say he's a man and he's not a turtle, because that's what is assigned values. If we say someone married means they've gone through this process of marriage, what we call a ceremony of contract and so on, and someone who hasn't and hasn't ever done that is a bachelor, you cannot have a married bachelor. So this is what we call the principle of non-contradiction. Two things which are mutually exclusive cannot be true at the same time. If you exist, you can then say, I also not exist. You can't have this contradictory stance as true. You have to reject the opposite. But these friends of ours, everything is possible. The principle of non-contradiction is violated. In fact, life becomes meaningless, worthless, only when it comes to religion. When it comes to everyday life, I'm sure when he goes to a restaurant, he's not going to just say, why did you give me cement, like I asked him earlier? And he eats it. It's fine, maybe it's food and eat it. He's not going to eat it. No one will do that. So what we are saying is, when it comes to reality of our existence and our Creator's existence, we need to be sincere. We need to be honest to our own selves. By somehow reading Descartes, by reading Hume, by reading Bertrand Russell, by reading all these philosophers, and you think, you know what, I don't have to believe in anything which is true or untrue, real, unreal. That is simply an excuse. Because even the philosophers, some of the arguments, they cannot simply just brush it aside. The arguments that we can talk about, that yes, we exist, for example. Otherwise, discussion is meaningless. Otherwise, having a conversation is meaningless. Am I talking to thin air? Imagine I'm talking in my dreams and I just wake up. Why am I wasting this time? Why are you wasting your time even listening to me? It could be just a dream. Wake up, people, wake up, bang, bang, wake up, pinch yourself and see if you're in a dream or not. Reality is that some people will take that approach because they're so ungrateful to their Creator. If one of your friends gave you things to survive your life, would you not be thankful? You'll be grateful. If you had an accident, she gave one of her kidneys to save you, you'd be thankful to her. This is natural gratitude. The Creator who gave us both the kidneys and the life, the brains and everything, why are we being so unthankful? The gratitude is the natural response, but some people don't want to show that gratitude, and there must be some reasons for it. And this is what we're trying to explore as Muslims. What could be those reasons? Are these reasons because some people have some brain changing conditioning, brainwashing, by something they have read, seen? Because the media is constantly brainwashing us. Constantly. Netflix, you name it, they're constantly telling us that there could be all these matrix things out there and so on and so forth. There is a reason why they say so. Because they want you to come away from this reality bubble and go into a bubble in which you live in a life in a matrix. Everything could be just an illusion.
So
and
that's
so
what they're arguing about?
How can they argue? They don't exist.
True.
Yeah?
True.
Maybe this is one thing we should take. If you argue, you exist. Yeah.
So you believe everyone exists? What do you believe?
Why can we not take this basic set of assumptions that, you know what, we know we exist. If we didn't exist, we would be having that conversation. And then, have a discussion in terms of why are we not worshipping and being grateful to our Creator? Why are we not Muslims? We should be asking this question. Why have we not surrendered our will to our Creator by following the final messenger, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Why are we not following this final guidance from God, the Quran, like this, telling us the purpose of our life here, telling us what's going to happen after death, telling us what awaits for us, whether heaven or hell? That is the discussion, real discussion we should be having, instead of simply having some fun and entertainment in Speaker's Corner, thinking, you know what, I spoke to some Muslims there, had some good entertainment, it was just all for the sake of entertainment. Seriously? One day we will all die. You can be deluded in thinking that you are never going to die, but this is the fact of life. We are programmed to die.
What happens after we die?
Exactly.
Do you know?
How can finite human beings know? We can't. Unless you're dead, and then you'll find out. But before you're dead, how can you find out? Unless someone else comes and tells you, but would you trust them? Exactly. So we can find this information only when our Creator tells us. We can be certain.
So what has he told you? Has he told you?
Our purpose of life is to worship our Creator. And worship is not simply just going to a particular place of worship and gratitude to God. In everything that we do in our life, the way we live our life, if it's in accordance to God's will, that becomes worship. So if I smile at you, brother, how are you, brother? If I pick the sword from the ground so that you don't get punctured or whatever, it becomes worship. Yeah. So whatever we do which pleases God in accordance to the reasons He's created us, and we follow the commands and avoid His prohibitions, this is worship. So we leave here, sir, you will go. If we die, it will be too late to find out our purpose of life. Because if this was our life with a test to determine ourselves who goes to heaven and hell, because that's what our Creator tells us. He has created life and death, who can test us who's better in deeds. So we can find out for certain whether we deserve to go to a place of paradise or go to a place of hellfire. Because He could have simply created us and put us into hell, put us into hellfire. Do you know why I say so? Because human beings have been created with the faculty of intellect, the rational choice of using our intellect wisely or not, choosing the choice. So I can use a knife to kill someone or not to kill someone and do good things like, remove obstacles. You know how we use a knife to cut, make roads, eat an apple and something like this, right? Knife to use in life-saving surgery, not killing them but saving them. But if we use it wrongly, then how do we expect our Creator, who is the most just, to treat us both the same? So because of the fact that we have the amount of free will given to us, and some people would not use it wisely, deliberately, and they do all the things which we know as bad. They kill, they rape, they oppress, they torture, and so on and so forth, which you and I agree is bad things. How can we expect the consequences of these evil actions by that individual? The reward they get is the same as someone who does good things. Where is the justice? It's not fair. So that is why this life is given as a test for us to know whether we deserve to go to a place of heaven, which is eternal happiness, joy, tranquility and bliss and so on, and to filter out those who become arrogant, stubborn, neglectful of their Creator, and they became their own God, and then they rejected God thereby. They're going to have to end up facing that consequence.
So if someone was making bad choices their whole life until the very last day, what do you think would happen?
God gives the chance until the point of their death, but not when the death is almost there. So when you know you're going to die for sure, it's not going to your repentance will not be accepted. It has to be before that point. The interim point is before, when the death is already approaching you, like on your neck, for example, the soul's coming out. Before that time, you have all this opportunity to rectify yourself, because you may have been living your life foolishly, but God is merciful. He looks into your heart and your ability and your desire to turn to good, to return to Him, because He's not only just, He's also merciful and forgiving. So even if someone did something bad but he returned sincerely, God is merciful. But He does compensate the things that has been violated through that person's, what happened to him. If that person was a murderer and murdered people, they also need to have justice done to them. So they will be compensated. That's where the justice is then demonstrated, because God is just and merciful at the same time. So God could have simply put those people who would use this excess choice wrongly, and He could have simply, because He's just, put them into hellfire for them to be punished. And those who will be good, put them into heaven for their enjoyment. If you are in heaven, would you complain? You don't complain, you're happy. There's nothing to complain. Joy and contentment, happiness, bliss, tranquility. There's no complaint. But the one who's in hellfire, they'll say, I haven't done anything. Why are you punishing me with fire, with hellfire, with all this punishment? And if God said, but I knew that you're going to end up like this, because I knew if I put you out there, you will do these things, so I spared all of that, put you direct in there. They'll say, but I haven't done anything. Give me a chance. To remove that excuse, think about this way. God has placed us here and giving us that chance. Demonstrate to yourself that you are worthy of going into the place of Jannah, eternal bliss and happiness. And demonstrate to yourself that you don't deserve to go to hellfire, that you earn the grace of God, His mercy. That is what we are doing here. So if we don't use our minds properly, then how can you arrive at conclusions to this matter if you even don't know that you exist or not? And yet you try to eat. When you don't eat for 3 days, for 2 weeks, you'll find out whether he exists or not for certain. But unfortunately, we have to have a discussion to bring some of these things out. Maybe one day, these two gentlemen will realize it's enough for the fun, because fun has limits. It's enough for the fun, if you want that, thank you. That we should face the reality, because the reality one day will take our lives. And it will be too late then to say, oh God, send me back again. Do you know what the Quran says? You'll be amazed. The Quran tells us about the people who are in hellfire, punished for their wrongdoings, and it narrates the story about what they're saying. It tells them that they're saying, oh God, send us back. We'll behave, we'll be good. Send us back. But God says, no, you had the chance. And I told you even before, there's no sending back. Now,
It means we all have to come back.
yeah, there is no sending back. That is why in the Quran, God tells us this is one chance. Don't miss this chance to save yourself from the hellfire. Avoid the footsteps of shaitan, Satan, who whispers in you to do things which are wrong, which are unacceptable, which are immoral. But follow the footsteps, follow the guidance of the prophets and the messengers, follow the last prophet and the guidance that he's given you through the Quran. Then you will be on the right path of success. If you are being tutored by a good teacher, gives you all the guidance on how you should pass the exams, and you have someone, a bad friend, who tells you, forget studying, forget revisioning, let's go and have some fun, let's go and do this and this. You know clearly which one is going to make you pass the exams or not. You have to take that path wisely. If you somehow got allured by, somehow got in a way mesmerized by your friends and their charms, and then went on with living your life accordingly, no studies, no revision, bunking the class, is that what you call? Not going in the classes, whatever. And at the end of the day, you expect to pass the exams, then that will be the ultimate delusion. So, because we are not in a stage, hopefully like gentlemen, there's still room to mend our ways and to say, God, I will take this step now, an opportunity, because now it's getting clearer and clearer to me that the life that we have is not for vain. It is not something that you created for fun, but for an important purpose. I will try my best to fulfill that purpose, and I hope and I desire your mercy and your grace, and you live your life accordingly. You'll lose nothing. Your life will no longer be miserable. Your life will no longer be a life of absolute confusion. Your life will be one of contentment. You will find, the Quran says, أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبِ. Do not the hearts find satisfaction in the remembrance of God. When you are connecting with God and you remember Him, you'll be so content. You'll be so peaceful in your inner self. You'll be peaceful and content. You'll live life. Your friends, the way you look at other people, you would not be racist. You would not think, oh, this people, oh, he's black, he's white, he's fat, he's thin, he's short, he's... You would have compassion, you'll have mercy, you'll have justice, you'll have the empathy, you'll have the sympathy. Your outlook will change. You will say, these people are oppressing my fellow woman over there. Doesn't matter if she has a hijab on her head or not. She's a woman. You're Muslim or not Muslim, go and help. If he was a Muslim, he's not going to say, oh, she's not a Muslimah. Why am I going to save her? That way. An oppressed person needs help, and he'll go and help. She'll go and help. That's the outlook. If you see some wallet on the road, something, and you open it, it's got money, credit cards, you would not go and start spending it. You will know every single penny you'll be accountable for in the day of judgment, because that is someone else's money. Maybe that's all they have. They've worked all their hard life to earn this money, to send their kids to school, to buy food for their children and so on, and you wasted it away. You don't even know the reality. But if you had the mentality of a Muslim, you'd say, oh, now, you know what? I have to find the owner. Who is it? He'll probably wait and go around and eventually say, you know what? I don't have the time for that. Let me give it to someone. Let me take it to the security office in your work. And you know what? I found this watch, this wallet. Can you make sure it reaches to the people? It was at that time, at that place. You will try to dispose of that in a way that is appropriate. You're not going to just, yeah? This is the outlook. It will change when you connect yourself with your Creator. That is what it means to be a Muslim, someone who submits and surrender their will to the will of the Creator. Peace doesn't come that easily. Peace comes when you're connected with the reality. So when I know that I am a creation of God, how am I going to be so arrogant and say, you know what, I'm not going to die. I can control my life. I'm going to live forever. That will be a real delusion. So if you are not a Muslim yet, I really will urge you to think, what is the Islamic message? It's no other than worshipping the one true God. That's the simple message of Islam. You worship none but God alone. You don't ascribe a partner to God and say, you know what, God has a brother or a son or a daughter or a family, or God is also my nation and my flag and my pop stars. You don't give that kind of gratitude. Only accept God. Only God to be Himself. And you live your life accordingly, according to what God has said. If God says, for example, do not oppress others, you live your life accordingly, not oppressing others. So, Islamic belief system is not something you will discover which is alien to your thinking and your feeling. Yeah? I think is that your friend? You have to go, yeah? So do think about it and reflect on it a bit more.
Thank you.
Okay? Take care.